Artificial Sun, Chapter 9. Grunner hadn't realized he had passed out until his eyes slowly opened and he took in his surroundings. At first his eyes rested on wooden beams, which didn't stretch very far across the ceiling. He tilted his head with great difficulty and noted that he was in a small room with a single window and an old wooden chair beside his bed. Footsteps halted by the entrance of the door, causing Grunner to shift his gaze. A woman stood by the entrance with a dark wooden bowl in her hands. Her skin was bronze, and her hair was long and dark. She was clad in a pale brown dress that clung tightly to her shoulders and chest and flowed down the rest of her body. At the sight of Grunner awake, she smiled at him with relief.
You're awake. That's good.
Where am I?
Grunner asked with a groan as he tried to sit up. The blanket that was covering him slid down slightly in the process, and only then could he see the extent of his torture. His chest was spotted with bruising and streaked with raw lacerations. He pulled the blanket up, but the woman walked towards him and gently pulled it down again. Before Grunner could ask her what she was doing, she began applying the paste to his wounds.
You are an Azgarak,
she explained, though she was focused on his wounds.
My daughter found you laying in the streets.
The woman didn't look to be much older than 30. She continued.
You were lucky she found you. Azgarak is a place of great crime. Had someone else come across you...
She allowed the sentence to loom in the air.
I mean, you're dead,
Grunner said with a weak smile on his lips. He was glad that he made it to Azgarak, at least, although barely before he had lost consciousness.
What is your name?
Alaria.
The woman didn't glance at Grunner as she said this.
My daughter is Shemmai.
Grunner raised a brow expectantly, as he waited for her to continue, though she didn't. He sighed softly. Azgarak was a dangerous place for women to be living alone, especially a young mother and her daughter.
Just you two?
His voice was barely audible, and Alaria nodded, avoiding his eyes. Grunner refrained from sighing again.
You shouldn't just trust anyone you find laying in the streets. What if I was a rapist or a murderer?
Alaria looked at him for a second before paying attention to the wound on his shoulder. Without glancing at him, she spoke without fear.
Are you a rapist or a murderer?
No.
Then I have nothing to fear.
Her smile was taut as she looked at him. Her eyes betrayed her bravado, revealing a coarseness, no doubt the result of pain she had previously endured.
I've had my fair share of coming across evil men. I know how to spot them. You are not one.
She stood up and placed the paste on the bedside table.
What is your name?
Grunner contemplated telling her, but that would be unwise. He knew Alaria had no malicious intent towards him, since she treated his wounds. Without her, surely he'd be dead. But if Alaria let slip that she was hosting a northerner in her home, she'd be in danger. The people of Azgarak hated the northerners. They thought of them as ruthless killers, and Grunner wasn't unaware of the raids that Hellbore led that left many in Azgarak killed, beaten, or homeless. Grunner opened his mouth to say, but then he shut it. What was he to tell her?
I have urgent business in Azgarak that I need to deal with. Let me speak to one of the bakers, Corfax.
Alaria's shoulders slumped slightly in disappointment, but she understood how things worked in Azgarak. They were vicious people who hated foreigners. Her life was just as at risk as his if they were to find out that she was treating him. She had enough trouble of her own, being foreign herself.
You are in no condition to speak to anyone just yet,
Alaria chided.
The people of Azgarak do not take kindly to strangers. Allow me to help you build your strength before you handle your urgent business.
Why?
Grunner asked, perplexed.
Why are you helping me?
Alaria's eyes clouded over as she turned. She made her way to the door, but paused with her hand on the doorframe. She turned her head slightly and spoke.
I only treat you how I wish I was treated when I first came here, Grunner of Edagene.
Grunner's eyes widened as she said this, though before he could retort, she had made her exit. Grunner leaned his head back and exhaled through his nose. Of course, she was a telepathist. Later that day, Alaria returned with a tray in her hands. On it was a plate of bread and a tankard of ale. She sat by Grunner's bedside and handed him the plate, which he took with a grateful smile. She watched in slight amusement as he wolfed down the food, as if he hadn't eaten in ages. He finished the tankard of ale in 3 gulps, and only then did he realize his manners.
Apologies.
He smiled half-heartedly. Alaria laughed softly as she took his tray with the empty plate and tankard on it.
That's quite all right.
She smiled gently as she looked at Grunner.
I imagine being tortured left you quite hungry.
Grunner let out a weak chuckle and turned his eyes away from her.
Suppose I deserve your intrusion, considering I wouldn't tell you my name.
Nobody deserves intrusion.
She placed the tray on the bedside table.
However, I need to know all that I can so that I don't put myself or my daughter in danger. Speaking of,
She leaned on her head towards the door and smiled softly.
you can come here now, love.
She was the spitting image of Alaria, though she had green eyes as opposed to her mother's brown ones. She was clearly afraid of Grunner, and he imagined she didn't have very good experience with strangers.
It's okay, Shemmai.
Alaria smiled softly, encouraging her daughter to come near.
He won't hurt you.
Shemmai stared at Grunner with doe-like eyes before she slowly made her way next to her mother. Grunner sat up and smiled at her, which caused her to smile in return, though it didn't quite reach her eyes.
Hello, Shemmai.
He held out his left hand, and the girl inched back when she saw he was missing half his pinky finger. He pulled his hand back, and his smile wavered a bit.
Thank you for saving me. You were very brave.
That seemed to be the right thing to say as the girl allowed her fake smile to morph into a real one.
Thank you, sir.
Grunner. Call me Grunner.
He said gently. Shemmai took a seat on the corner of Grunner's bed and looked at him with wonder as she lowered her walls just a bit.
Why were you beaten up when I found you?
She asked almost immediately, and Alaria widened her eyes.
Shemmai!
She scolded softly, but Grunner only chuckled fondly.
That's all right.
Grunner said before he made eye contact with the girl.
I just escaped from a battle.
He saw the wonder in her eyes as he said this, so he decided to twist the story away from the truth.
I was being held and tortured by an evil wizard that lived just outside Azgarak. He could transform into a dragon if he willed it.
How come I never heard of him?
Shemmai questioned.
Because he liked to remain a secret. He was very evil, you see, and he enjoyed it when others feared him. The more people knew him, the more they'd know his weaknesses, and less they'd fear him.
But dragons are invincible. People would never learn his weaknesses.
Ah, that's where you're wrong.
Grunner leaned forward a bit as he said this.
Dragons are powerful and majestic, but they aren't invincible. You just need to know where to hit them.
Why did he capture you?
Shemmai's interest was piqued when Grunner looked at Alaria for a second, The mother gave a knowing smirk. Grunner faced Shemmai once again.
I was protecting someone very close to me. Someone he wanted to hurt. But I wouldn't let him. He didn't like that very much.
If I had to see this evil wizard, I would kill him.
Shemmai vowed, with a determinedness in her eyes.
Did you kill him when you escaped?
Grunner nodded softly.
I did. He won't be hurting you or anyone else anytime soon.
He lied, but the look on Shemmai's face was worth every ounce of dishonesty.
I want to be brave like you.
Shemmai admitted.
I want to kill evil wizards who try to hurt people close to me.
Her eyes danced with the same wildness Grunner always saw in Althea's eyes when she fought.
Can you wield a weapon? Let's start there.
His eyes crinkled as a smile crept onto his lips. He missed this, seeing the wonder and raw fearlessness in a young warrior's eyes. He had seen it in all 30 of his fledglings until they started dying off, one by one, and their wonder-filled eyes were closed forever.
I always wanted to learn archery, but Mama won't let me.
Shemmai pouted, avoiding her mother's gaze.
You're too young, love.
Alaria reached out and held Shemmai's hand.
I know you're a fighter, truly, but it's too dangerous. What would happen if someone saw you?
I know.
Shemmai looked down with a crestfallen expression on her face. Grunner felt his heart clench slightly, and as much as he wanted to teach the girl to fight and defend herself, he knew he came to Azgarak for a purpose.
Run along now. It's almost time for your bath.
Alaria pulled her hand back and beckoned for her daughter to go to her room. Shemmai turned to Grunner and smiled softly.
It was nice to meet you, Grunner.
She said as she hopped off the bed.
Likewise.
Grunner said with a nod and a smile. Shemmai practically floated out of the room, leaving Alaria and Grunner alone once again.
She likes you. A rare feat.
Alaria told Grunner as she raised both her brows with a smile on her lips.
I like her too. She has spirit.
Grunner smiled, though it was a poor impression of a real one. After speaking with Shemmai, he missed his fledglings. Above all, he missed Althea. She was just like Shemmai when she was younger, shy and reserved at first, but headstrong and determined once you got to know her.
I know why you came here.
Alaria said, causing Grunner to sigh. Of course she did.
You might not fare well on this journey. Are you aware of this?
I'm aware.
Grunner nodded.
Yet you will do it for the girl you love as your own daughter, the one you risked your life for.
Grunner's gaze was unwavering as he nodded once.
Aye.
Why are you so protective of her specifically?
Alaria asked, though she knew the answer already. She folded her hands in her lap and tilted her head as her dark hair fell over her shoulder and down her back.
You know why.
Grunner said impatiently. Alaria did a clean sweep of his mind. She knew everything. Why was she still asking him questions?
I wish you luck on your journey.
Alaria smiled softly as she stood up and picked up the empty dishes.
For what it's worth, I believe you did the right thing by keeping her true identity a secret. Many wouldn't hesitate to put her head on a spike if they knew.
Grunner nodded softly, at a loss for words. Alaria walked towards the door, but paused just upon her exit.
And Grunner?
She didn't face him when she spoke.
From the bottom of my heart, I truly do hope that you find her sister.
Neolani grimaced as the rope that held her hands together dug into her skin. Her wrists were raw and pained, though she would prefer it over being killed immediately. It was nightfall, and the tribe that had captured the group tied them up and kept them prisoner, though they had yet to harm them. Neolani didn't know what their fate would be once the morning came, so for that reason, she had trouble sleeping. Guards patrolled the area around the fledglings to ensure that they didn't try to escape, but where would they even escape to? She looked at her friends. Most of them had fallen asleep already, clearly exhausted from a day's journey of walking on an empty stomach. It didn't take her long to see that Ambrose was still awake. He was sitting up and staring into the sky. Longclaw was cradled in his lap, though he was twitching in his sleep, no doubt disturbed due to prior events. Neolani crawled towards him until she was right in front of his line of sight. He looked at her and didn't even try to force a smile like he usually would.
Can't sleep?
Neolani asked softly, but Ambrose only bit his jaw in response and gave a short nod. She sighed and made herself comfortable on the ground.
I suppose we spoke too soon about the situation being the sun.
I suppose so.
Ambrose replied, though he had a distant look in his eyes. Neolani couldn't quite understand what she felt in her stomach as she looked at him. Was it pity?
You can't talk to me about what's bothering you.
She found herself saying, though he didn't even flinch.
Is it their stench? Because I can't handle it either.
She said with a half smile. He let out a small laugh at this. Of course, Neolani would be the one to try to downplay their situation and find the humor in it. Ambrose's smile faded as he looked at Neolani, who was already looking at him. He frowned and looked to the floor not long after that.
I was thinking about what you said the other day, or rather, asked.
He began to say. At first, his voice was soft, as if he didn't want to be talking about this particular topic. But then he became more sure of himself.
Pelennor was the sweetest of the 4 gorillas. He always checked up on us and made sure we were okay. He didn't deserve...
Ambrose shut his eyes, and Neolani watched wordlessly as 2 tears escaped them. She wanted to wipe them away, but her hands were bound, so she could only watch soundlessly.
The way she attacked Althea, the hatred in her eyes.
He finally opened his eyes and looked at Neolani. She looked beautiful in the moonlight. In fact, Ambrose thought she very much resembled the moon. Bright and beautiful, but underappreciated.
How can I love someone like that?
He finished off. Neolani would akin Ambrose's watery eyes to the ocean. They were bright, beautiful, and blue, but she could see that there were hidden depths to him that he hadn't yet let anyone explore. The breeze brushed through his red-brown hair, which was more brown than red as of late, and the tiredness of his face only made him look more handsome. While Ambrose was strong, he was also kind. Neolani had never met a man better than him. She sighed and pressed her knees to her chest to provide herself with some form of warmth.
We can't choose who we love,
she said before looking at him.
If tonight's our last night alive, I'd like to say I'm pleased to have known you, but you have terrible taste in women.
Ambrose smiled and exhaled through his nose in some form of a chuckle. Neolani had managed to make him laugh twice that night in the face of certain danger, and he never knew how much he needed that laughter until then. Althea eyed her surroundings carefully. She was in a makeshift arena while enemies shouted all around her. Her head whipped from side to side, but she couldn't make out much else.
My dear, you've gotten yourself in quite a predicament.
The familiar disembodied voice rattled Althea's brain as she spoke.
You can't come and find me if you're dead.
Althea wanted to scream and be frantic, but she refrained from doing so. She didn't know what exactly they were meant to find further north, but she hoped that whoever this person was could help them find what they were searching for. Now she just needed to find out how she could reach her.
I have.
She admitted. She looked around at her screaming enemies.
They've taken our weapons, which means I'm unarmed, tied up, and unsure of where to go. The cave
was never safe.
The voice said.
They were always watching you. All they needed was an opportunity.
They?
Althea hoped to learn more about her captors. What was the harm in asking, after all?
The Battlemen, that's what they call themselves.
The voice snorted in irony.
They haven't been very good at battle for quite some time.
What will they do with us?
Althea remained calm, though her heart was hammering in her chest. She knew it was unwise to trust anyone that wasn't one of the fledglings, but Althea couldn't help but trust this voice.
They'll take you to the leader, as most northern tribes do.
The voice said, though she didn't sound fearful. She sounded almost amused.
Then the leader might demand that you all be killed, but that's unlikely considering how strong you all are. If not, he'll say they will make fine slaves. And you will.
Althea didn't want to be a slave. She didn't escape the metaphorical chains of edging just to be placed in real ones, though she also knew the tone of the disembodied voice. There was another option.
Or?
Althea asked. The voice laughed fondly, though it only caused Althea to grimace in response. This wasn't a joke to her. Her life and the lives of those she held dear was on the line.
You're learning,
the voice eventually said.
With each passing day, you're straying further away from the naive girl I first spoke to.
Or?
Althea pressed again, ignoring the statement the voice made.
Or you can make them an offer they cannot refuse.
The shouts of her enemies got louder, but when Althea listened closely, she heard that they were not shouts at all. They were cheers. Cheers for her. She sucked in a shaky breath, though she feigned confidence when she spoke again.
And what can they not refuse?
My dear, if I were to do everything for you, how would you ever grow?
The voice asked, and Althea pursed her lips into a straight line.
You disappoint me, child. I thought sending my Titan bear to find you would be enough, but no, I have to visit you in your dreams as well.
Her Titan bear? So the Titan bear was not a mistake at all. Althea wondered why its eyes had glowed amber when she was confronted with it. But when she faced the gorilla, its eyes glowed green. She needed to know more about the strange colors that flashed through the Titan's eyes if she were to ever raise her own. Was someone controlling her gorillas?
Titan gorillas.
She spoke up now, changing the subject.
Why do I connect with them? Is it how you connect with bears?
She felt the dream fading around her, so she became desperate to ask more questions.
Why can they heal?
She asked, but received no response. She decided to change tactics.
What can I offer the battlemen?
She raised her voice slightly, though the dream was as thin as washed-out fabric. Distressed, Althea called out.
Where can I find you?
Before she could ask any more questions, her eyes opened. She sat up and inhaled deeply as if she hadn't had air for quite some time. Bow stirred in her lap, but once again he sensed that she was awake. His own eyes opened slowly. He looked up at Althea and let out a grunt as if asking if she was okay. Althea looked down at him and forced a smile onto her lips.
I'm fine, Bow. You go back to sleep, okay?
Althea found it absurd that the battlemen had tied up the gorilla's hands as well. They were harmless. What would the battlemen need juvenile gorillas for anyway? They could have let them go. Althea wanted them to be free, not stuck in bondage with her. Instead of falling back asleep, Bow stared at Althea before he stuck his tongue out and cocked his head to the side, making a funny face. She laughed, though softly so that she wouldn't wake her friends.
Who taught you that?
She asked in amusement, but she knew that the answer would be Neolani. Back at Edagene, Neolani would always make her laugh. Instinctively, her eyes searched for Neolani, and she was surprised to see the teleporter in a deep slumber next to Ambrose, while Longclaw snuggled between them both. A soft twinge of guilt arose in her chest at the realization that Neolani had always been there for her, even at Edagene.
I'm guessing you had another dream?
A voice asked. Althea startled slightly, but turned and smiled sheepishly at Bayard, who was leaning back on his elbows between a sleeping Azura and Ameera. Althea's laughter had woken him, even though she was trying to be discreet. She turned so that she was facing him better.
Am I that predictable?
Bayard didn't respond to that. Instead, he sat up properly and asked,
What was it about this time?
Althea sighed and twiddled her thumbs together.
I was told that if I don't make the battlemen an offer they can't refuse, we're either going to be slaves or killed. Neither is ideal.
Who told you this? And who are the battlemen?
Bayard couldn't help but feel protective of Althea. She looked helpless and confused at that moment, and just like on the night where he gifted her the daggers, she didn't feel the need to pretend to be strong anymore.
The battlemen is the name of the tribe who captured us,
she explained.
As for who told me these things, I'm afraid I can't answer you. I don't even know the answer myself. All I know is she connects with Titan Bears, and that we can trust her. She doesn't want to hurt us, I just know it.
Connects with Titan Bears like how you connect with the gorillas?
Bayard asked. And Althea noticed that the crease between his eyebrows made an appearance once again. She nodded.
Except I don't know how it works, or why me. I wish I had the answers. All I know is that we have to head even more north than we are now, and then I have to protect everyone.
She wanted to swallow her words the minute she said them. It wasn't like her to have self-pity or to release her pent-up emotions, but she was tired of pretending.
You can't protect everyone.
Bayard's voice was soft.
I couldn't, and I'm the leader you all chose.
He didn't sound melancholy when he said this. He needed to be strong for her.
But if I could go back in time to the night we left, I wouldn't change a single choice I made.
How can you say that?
Her voice was soft when she asked this.
How could you say that knowing where we end up?
Because,
he said,
I've seen you grow. I've seen us all grow. Even if we die tomorrow, we die knowing we put up a fight. We combated the northern climate, survived being on the brink of starvation, found water when we were running on our last few drops. We even befriended Titan gorillas.
Bow perked up and smiled, revealing his ever-growing fangs. Althea was sure he sometimes understood the human language. She smiled softly when she looked from Bow to Bayard.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Thank you.
Her heart fluttered in her chest at the promise that their fight was far from over.
I suppose it will get better.
She nodded in determination. Her eyes glittered as the spark reignited from inside her.
Well, can't get any worse.
A genuine smile etched onto Bayard's face. He rarely smiled, but when he did, it was a gorgeous smile, unrivaled by many. It lit up his face and allowed him to look beautiful and youthful. With Bayard's smile in her mind and her newfound determination, Althea drifted off into a dreamless sleep. Artificial Sun, Chapter 9.